so many times.
Fuck! Why is there an axe?
Defense, baby! Hello, everyone, and welcome to Command Center, your video game book club podcast. My name is Daniel, and with me is...
Nathaniel M., Master of Ceremonies.
And?
Me.
Me. Yeah, okay, I look over at you, you're on your phone. We just started.
Yeah.
We just started.
I'm looking at shit, man. It's for the podcast.
Oh, wait, it's literally when I called out earlier, like, your phones still work with the internet off, guys. He's actually doing it.
All right, fair
He
enough.
does
Fair
listen.
enough.
Exactly.
So we have a very, very special guest here with us today. We've talked about him. That's a
Why
very
are you
early
doing
drum roll.
that?
That's a
I
very early
didn't
drum
know
roll.
he was going to have more. Thought it was a preamble, not an epilogue.
We've talked about him a lot. You've heard about him. He runs our website. Without him, this podcast wouldn't happen. We still have a drum roll going, so I guess just fucking run with that. With us is Nick. Nick, the website and tech guru. Say hi, Nick.
Hey, I actually think I'm going to leave, though, because I was here for a Book Clade podcast.
Yes! Yes! This is, every time we've talked about it, I've been like, I consider Nimber a Mick of the podcast. There you go. Nick, a member of the podcast.
Wow.
Don't forget to slap.
I'm Polish. I'm not...
Yeah.
Listen, if you're going to slur me properly.
Listen, my brother. I'm making you complimentary quarter Irish. Because you drink whiskey just as well as the rest of us.
As well or as
more?
poorly?
Well,
Yeah,
no,
what
I
the
mean,
fuck you talking
I
about?
consider it a win when we end up pantsless, not inserted into one another, and having had a great time.
Last time I ate an onion. Like a whole raw onion.
Like last time
That's
you
some
had
weird
whiskey.
Brandon shit. Knox does it too. I managed to
Yeah.
not
What
catch
is
that.
with that? Yeah, that Brandon shit. Let's call it a spade, a spad, white.
What? Okay. Are you saying the last time you had whiskey, you ate an entire raw
That's
onion?
an absolute law.
Law.
Lord, my mouth.
He is the law.
I don't pretend to remember why. It was a very long night.
I remember you because we were at John's. Oh,
We were...
no, it's
This is recent.
It's
Yeah, this
board
is very
games.
recent.
It's
Yeah, it was
board
board
games,
games.
and you know,
Oh,
get together
yeah,
to play
I
board
remember
games,
this.
and you're like, I'm gonna consume like I'm 20, and we've had a buddy. Should we name him?
I don't know who you're talking
I
about, so
won't.
yeah.
I
fuck
won't
it.
name John Knox.
You named him 10 seconds
Yeah,
before.
yeah. Who once was drunk in our apartment and was like, I'm gonna eat that onion, and ate a whole onion like an apple, and then was like just trashed.
Well,
Like,
that was a
regret.
long time ago.
We
yeah.
were joking about this and getting way too trashed at John's playing board games, and Nick brought up the joke, and he's like, I'm gonna do it. And I was like, that's a funny joke, and I guess I misread him. No, he meant like, I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
fucking do this
fucking
right
did that
now. And he
sober. I don't
did
know
it.
what the hell's wrong. I love onions. I mean, I wouldn't. I'd eat it as like an apple, but
Was it
I
a
wouldn't.
red onion, a Vidalia, a sweet
It
onion?
was just a yellow onion.
Yellow.
With
Okay.
Yellow onion.
With the crunchy skin on it.
Yeah.
Here's
Which one
the
is
thing.
that?
Okay, ew. First off. Second off, like I love onion in all its forms, but my favorite is red onion. But
Oh, yeah.
I imagine that I could not eat an entire red onion.
No.
I might be able to do yellow.
Fuck that. Yeah, a yellow one you can do, but a red onion, hell no.
No.
Anyway, we were
It's
talking
way
about
too
how
strong.
poorly we drink whiskey.
Yes.
And this is just an example.
No, that's an expert
On this video
whiskey.
game podcast.
May I interject finally? Did we turn on the GoPro?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Let's go.
take God. Okay,
You
cool.
don't see the
I was like, we're gonna have to
flashing red
replicate
light?
2 minutes for there.
God. So the reason that we have Nick here is because one of his favorite games, and the game that he suggested that we play is Command & Conquer Red Alert 2, which is what we played last month.
Chair.
Chair.
Tired.
So a little bit about it. There wasn't much that I have about it. Wikipedia doesn't really have a lot about Command & Conquer Red Alert 2, which is where I do all of my research.
Henry,
Oh,
you
really?
disagree.
The reception begs to differ.
Oh, yeah, okay. So it was a critical and commercial success.
Mm-hmm.
It was developed by Westwood Studios, who had, I think they did the Dune game. Dune, not Dune.
Yeah, Dune was where they
Yeah.
cut their teeth on RTSs, and then Command & Conquer was.
A couple of other ones,
Like
but I
based
didn't
off
see-
of the book or
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
its own thing?
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah, you like controlled the. I never read the book or played the game, but from what I've seen.
What about the movie?
Oh, he read and played the
No,
movie.
yeah,
I think I remember playing Dune back in the day. It came on like 6 floppy disks.
Did it?
And I think 7-year-old me trying to install it on the computer it didn't go over.
Every time when I was a kid and they had
Floppy
games on
disks.
floppy disks, I never got them to run, ever.
Did you guys remember for that brief segment of time, Jason? I think you're going to be too young. But
think.
where you go into a store and you ask about a game and they'd be like, all we have left is one floppy copy. And you'd be like, all right, I still got a 3.5, we're good. But there was a period of time where it was like, we have the new CD, but nobody can play that. And there was like a 3-month span where, very rapidly, maybe a year span, where it was like they carried both. And at the beginning of it, it was like, we can't sell these CD copies. And by the end, it was like, all we have is the 3.5s, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I The only time I had a personal PC at home was when it was already like well past
Personal
floppies.
computer.
I mean, that wasn't even my own, just like a computer in the house. I still remember my mom's old brick of a laptop that all you could do was play solitaire.
Okay, hold on. What does PC stand for?
No,
Personal
fucking way.
computer?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Personal PC, Jason, to me, for me,
It's an ATM machine.
said personal PC because you need two personals because all I'm doing on that thing is jacking off the porn.
Dude, you almost fucking, you broke my mind there.
I know.
I've never thought about that. I don't know. But yeah, and the only time I ever saw floppies was in school.
That sounds a little bit strange. Is that before or after the woman
The
came in and
adult
accosted
woman
your
broke
feet?
into your class and licked your toes. All the shit I say that gets recorded.
Before.
And that's the one that's gonna stick for like a year, and I love it. Like,
So, Westwood Studios, that's where I started with that. Developed by Westwood, published by EA. Didn't realize that we were doing that again.
Another EA?
Yeah, right?
fuck yeah.
Well, to be
Um,
fair, it wasn't EA when it came out, and it
Yeah.
still isn't because EA's tried to remake it several times and they failed.
The-
I mean, there's a remaster
They're
coming out.
remastering it
the
now.
original.
No, I
That's
meant
the original.
sequels.
I gotcha. Yeah, well, Red Alert 3 sucks. But
Was EA, right?
It's the Westwood team still.
Yeah, yeah.
So it came out on October 25th in 2000. It was the sequel to Red Alert 1, which came out in 1996, and was followed by the terrible game Red Alert 3 in 2008.
Damn. Not to break our stride, what we need is geisha fans.
Like Japanese.
Like
Yeah, dude.
Japanese
Listeners,
groupies.
you can enjoy whatever you want. You do not have to be fans of geishas.
Isn't that what they're called?
Are you saying that you want to have fans who listen to us who are geishas?
That too?
That's what I understood.
Hell yeah!
Then what the hell are you talking about?
They're like the fans that you like spread out and then
Asian style.
It's a
fans.
Japanese folding
Yeah,
fan.
a folding fan.
whatever.
Oh,
Nobody
you're
calls
saying
them
that you
geisha
would
fans.
like a fan.
To cool
Yeah,
yourself.
to cool yourself.
I was thinking like fans of our show.
No,
who
I mean
happen
I
to
made
be-
that assumption last time, and you know.
Personally, Nick, I think you can get behind this. I think we all dress in
Kimonos.
oh shit, what's the term for pre-Civil War? Antebellum dresses and wear, and we sit here with big folding collapsible fans and just keep talking about the Vegas.
And then we just keep on saying we do declare.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You missed the do declare part. That was good.
I don't declare. I'm too busy having the Vegas.
Oh, and then was it Coke that they would just like have in a little canister and just be like,
No, man, that was
that's
snuff.
Snuff.
Which is-
Tobacco.
oh,
It's
that's
basic-
tobacco? You
Yeah.
snort-
Ugh. It's tobacco refined
Snorting
like
tobacco.
you're
Those
refining
people's
cocaine,
noses
right?
must have been falling off.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
fuck
it's powdered.
Yeah, but it's basically like you coca leaf, they're both leaves,
Mm.
but it's kind of like you go through that process till you're just left with a powdery extract of the leaf and you store it. Excuse me.
Wow.
He
Keep
just
the-
historically vomited.
Keep that rolling, yeah. Keep drinking beer while you.
Oh, so by the way, if you guys hear any kind of noise, we are out in the command center, which has it's a corrugated metal roof, and it's raining.
Is that tan galvanized steel?
It's not steel, 'cause it no. But yeah, that's what that sound is. And they're also doing some more building on the house behind us. But now maybe the rain will stop that. So replace one sound for the other. So I do want to ask Nick about his first thoughts on the game, since he was the one who is a big fan of this game and suggested you played it. So what do you think, Nick?
Honestly, my first thoughts on the game aren't related to the gameplay at all. It's all the stuff that I missed when I was playing the game as a kid in regards to the actual story of the game
Yep.
and the actual quality of the, I won't say the quality of the acting.
So like
but
quality, quote unquote.
quality, quote unquote, but the quality of the actors and the amusement factor of the writing.
Oh yeah.
It still holds up. I caught tons of stuff playing the game through this time. I didn't play the Russian campaign because I'm not a damn commie.
Listen, man, nobody's perfect.
What you guys don't catch is that you've got a pretty hardcore libertarian talking to a pretty hardcore Bernie supporter in that little interaction.
Huh?
Nothing.
No, I got it, but like, who the fuck is who in that?
How
What?
do you not know? Oh, god damn it! Hey,
Damn
don't
it.
fuck with me because I don't get it.
Anyway, just the writing from the cutscenes, and those cutscenes are something that you don't get in modern games. I guess the closest that you would come to those cutscenes is in a Blizzard game, but instead of where the Blizzard game puts all this production value into making those cutscenes feel epic, these cutscenes actually advance the story instead of just giving you little mini snippets.
Yeah,
And they're
true.
actually really, really fun.
There was another game, I never played it myself, but it was another game that Mark Hamill was in that did the same thing, and it was a PC game.
Anything Mark Hamill's in, it's got to be fun.
Yeah.
I for the life of me, I wish I can look this up. Mark Hamill, like live action, like video game scenes, like I don't know, whatever. But it's literally the only other time I've ever seen that type
Video
of thing.
recording, right? Not just audio.
Yeah, it was actual like basically like the scenes in Command & Conquer. Can you hear me since I'm looking away?
Yeah, no. I was trying to get your attention. Speak into the mic.
Literally like the scenes Command & Conquer.
Yeah, so I liked them because, you know, they were hammy, but they knew they were hammy.
Yes.
Like, and they just played that up. Like, one of my favorite is, like, I think it's like one of the first things you see when you first start the game. It's that opening sequence where, you know, they show the Soviets invading the U.S. and all
Welcome
that.
to Texas.
And it cuts
The
to
sign in the tank.
it shows the president, and he like shoos away. He gets a call and he shoos away what looks like Monica Lewinsky.
Yes.
Oh yeah!
Biting social commentary.
It's like, whoa, okay. And you know what? In like 10 years or so, probably no one's gonna catch that reference if they're even still playing this game at the time.
10 years from
Actually,
when that game came out.
10
or 10
years from now,
10 years
right
from
now.
now.
I don't think people would. Some people would get it now.
I mean, when I was a child, this was happening, and it's still fresh in my mind.
But you're 30.
I'm 32, and I still remember it. And there's a lot of 32-year-olds out there who know who the fuck Monica Lewinsky is.
The game actually still has a surprisingly large following on YouTube. There's a lot
Right.
of people that are setting speed records still.
Oh,
for playthroughs of the
the
game.
series was still like selling like till like really highly until 2006.
Exactly, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. People are getting the references.
Yeah.
Looks like the only thing I'm coming up with, and this is off of Metacritic, where he is not listed as a voice actor, but just listed as an actor, is X2 Wolverine's Revenge. But you never owned a PlayStation 2, did you?
No, I know it was a shitty game. So
Maybe it was that.
I don't know what score constitutes species, but 58's pretty low in my book, so yeah, we'll go with that.
Well, I mean, obviously he was the Joker in
Everything.
the Arkham games.
yeah, I mean, he started in Batman
that,
the Animated
you know,
Series.
That wasn't live action though.
Took a break. He said he'd only come back. Why? Never mind. Sorry,
Yeah,
no,
you-
you put me on a ramble about Mark Hamill,
I
and then
didn't
you
do
said
shit.
Joker.
Jason on voice
That's
actor,
like my
so
favorite
you
thing in
don't
the
talk to
world.
him, apparently, so that's all right.
So
So it's nothing against the gameplay of the game, because the gameplay of the game is actually great. It's one of the great old school style RTS games. But to me, what really stood out on the replay was the cutscenes and the story and the actual live action cuts. And if you think about it, it's really amazing that I think that game only came on 2 discs.
Yeah.
And they managed to include all these video files in 2000 on
Yeah.
these 2 discs.
And those weren't even HD DVDs back then.
They were
Those
not. They were
CDs.
CDs.
you know that's so
Which is what?
funny because I remember making a stink about Mass Effect 2 being on 2 discs and be like, "What the fuck is this?" and like not knowing that even like what was it, Final Fantasy 7 was on like 5 discs or something.
Did you ever install World of Warcraft from discs? There was like 8 of them
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
So,
I
Nobody did.
well, I started playing when Burning Crusade was out, so maybe they
Yeah.
minimized
I
it
mean,
from
they
that.
did still sell discs of the data.
No, yeah, I mean, I still have my boxes.
It wasn't
That
like
was the
fucking
never mind.
EA with SimCity. They still sold the data on disc.
All right, that was the first thing I hid condoms in. Was the World of Warcraft
All right.
PC case.
They're actually still there.
That's why he was on that drought. He couldn't remember which box he put it in. Fuck!
Lich
You gotta go
King.
home.
No, it was Cataclysm. That makes sense.
Are you sure? I feel like Burning Crusade would make a much more sensible place to put him.
At least it's not Pandaland.
Oh.
Right back
okay.
to the geisha fans.
So that was Nick's first thoughts. What about you, Jay?
I mean, my first thoughts was, goddamn, I'm bad at these types of games because I even fucked up the tutorial where like I guess you know you're going through and it's explaining to like how to build your base. And apparently it's at you know you have your truck, you move around, and then you click on the truck
Double click it, yep.
to make it a base.
Boy,
But it wasn't really that explicit. So like I kept on driving, and eventually I guess I ended up where I wasn't supposed to be, and I was like.
You were like right next to the enemy.
Yeah, I was like I was like, all right, well, I guess what
Some
the
sort
fuck?
of weird Zerg rush I got
like,
going
I don't
on.
understand what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. And Dan was next to me, and he's like, oh, just double click your truck. I was like, oh, and then I set up my stuff, but all the enemies were right there, so I immediately got obliterated in the tutorial.
That don't look like an accountant script I ever
Well, in your defense, Jason, me and Daniel are both experienced players at the games. And we got obliterated repeatedly by medium and easy computers on skirmish maps.
This
so
is true. This is very true. But
But-
again, I can't really speak for you because I don't remember, and I know that you're good at them. Jason and I are notoriously bad at
I don't know
real-time
why you're lumping
strategies.
it. You're way better at real-time strategies.
That doesn't mean shit. That's not a real-time strategy. That's
no,
a grand
that's
strategy.
a grand strategy, and it really grandly pissed me right the hell off.
It worked. Oh, Daniel, you shouldn't drive home. You're kind of drunk. Guess what? We got home safe, didn't we?
Oh God.
Uh-huh. Hey, Daniel, we shouldn't go through the swamps of what, Eastern
Mordor?
Poland to get to Moscow?
That was-
We made it, didn't we?
That was Western Russia.
We made it.
This is not the time nor the place. So, I mean, I guess it's still the USSR, but
We don't talk about
Back in the
strategy until we
USSR.
deal with
Shit!
the fucking corpse of General Robert E. Lee.
oh.
Hey, same production.
Paradox.
So-
If you guys are listening, it's called a bug fix, and that's
Mm.
where you test your game before you release it and fix the bugs.
No, the bug.
Hey, don't
fix-
make me paranoid about fucking Vampire, dude. I have not gotten more excited
Oh,
about a
it's
trailer
gonna be
in
super
forever.
buggy. That's how Paradox
Yeah,
operates.
Paradox.
Is it comes out
Ah.
as an unfinished game.
As a positive, they support their game for 3 to 5 years after release.
3 to 5, my ass.
I
They go for
know,
way
but if I
longer
wanted
than that.
another fucking Skyrim, man.
Unless they release an expansion, in which case buy the expansion or you get no more bug fixes.
Yeah. Oh, buy the season pass when it's available if you're excited about Vampires 2, because with Paradox, that season pass, we ended up having to buy La Resistance for Hoy, right?
Yeah, so the season pass for Hearts of Iron 4, which is what we're talking about, it gave you the first, I think, 5 DLCs.
Yeah, it was $30 more than the game, and it covered $100 of DLCs.
Yeah, I remember you guys telling
and,
me
and,
that.
after
like,
the
I
first
was
5
pissed
you're on your
later
own.
when I had to buy the 6th DLC, but that's like being pissed at the donut shop when you were eating.
We've
for
also
dozen.
sunk how many thousands of hours
Yeah.
into that game, so.
Oh yeah, I remember looking at.
I was
all
actually
that.
talking about Victoria 2.
Yeah.
It's been 5 years
Yeah.
and I'm still bitter.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
No, I don't expect you to ever play another Paradox game with us, Nick, because that shit, while hilarious, generated a full and healthy rage within you. It was hilarious to
I
watch.
think that Nick should explain what
Yeah, go
happened.
ahead and give us the story.
So Victoria 2, you can play. It takes place in the 1860s, at least the American campaign. And I don't know if anybody is aware of this, but there's something going on in the United States in the 1860s.
South Carolina was being South Carolinian pretty hard.
Yeah, pretty much. It was the Civil War, and I decided that I was going to play the Union side, which you can play the Confederacy if you want to, if you're an evil person. I decided I was going to play the Union side.
My father always taught me there's two sides to every story.
And
Oh,
and
Jesus.
true to form, Robert E. Lee is a very good general, and he will whoop your ass up and down the coast unless you can corner him. I cornered Robert E. Lee, and I destroyed his army. Not once, not twice, not 3 times.
4 times a lady.
4 times I destroyed this motherfucker's army, okay? And then he would come 3 or 4 turns later out of nowhere with another army. And the man is dead.
100,000 white supremacists just spawned to follow a zombie Robert E. Lee. And one of the times the
They
rebellion,
invaded me from Canada.
one of the rebellions rise in Pennsylvania. It was like, what the fuck?
Listen, the man raised an army in Quebec and then
What
just
fucking game is
invaded
this?
New York.
Hey man, everybody knows the French, not racist. The French Canadians. Whoo.
Anyway,
Fuck, you
it was
talking about?
it was
French are notoriously racist.
it was very buggy. It has nothing to do with this podcast, but it's been 5 years and I'm still bitter about it. And to be fair, the fix for that was to buy the expansion.
Well, a good thing for me, maybe not for you, Nick, is that one of the biggest things that Paradox fans clamor for, which is probably going to happen, is Victoria 3.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, that'll
let's-
have been fixed.
I bought Victoria 2, played it for about 4 hours, and was like, oh, wait till the next one.
We played it for a lot more than 4 hours.
Victoria? No, Europa Universalis I played more than 4 hours. Victoria, I booted like twice.
I don't know, man. I remember playing that a lot with you.
Why do you think Call of Duty's never made like a Civil War era game, or even like a
Because
American
it'll take you 5
Revolution?
minutes to reload.
Yeah.
I thought that, but like, there's got to be a workaround.
I mean, it's EA, right?
Everyone
It's
stand in a line
No,
and shoot at the
Activision.
opposing
Activision,
team.
which is like EA's little brother. That's Gears to Halo. But like there's been muzzle loading FPS MMOs, not MMOs, just multiplayers online.
I'm thinking they're just first persons. Like,
Yeah,
I've never seen that.
there are a few, and what
There
they're
were
gonna do
lots
is
of mods for 1942.
yeah, they're gonna wait for somebody to perfect it, and then when it gets good, they're gonna throw $1 billion at it and make a really nice
So
one.
I bought this game that was on sale, I think, maybe a year and a half to 2 years ago. It was in early access called War of Rights. and it is a Civil War FPS, and it's damn good. But the only way to play is by like joining like a clan or a group or whatever the hell they call them now. Well, I mean, you have to for a Civil War type game because you play in formations. Everyone goes, they lines up.
Yeah, that's,
you know, you have to play it like an actual
It's
Civil
not
War
guerrilla,
battle.
but that would be American Revolution.
The Pirates game does it well.
Yeah, I was just thinking that the Pirates game, Black Wake.
Black Wake.
That
Oh,
also
yeah,
works,
true.
Yeah, also works
A little bit
because-
different format though, because it's a little more fast paced.
It is,
than,
yeah.
you know.
And you're on a vehicle that carries the artillery, but either way.
They did it pretty well in War of Rights. So I mean, I think it might still be in early access, but worth looking at if you're into that sort of.
Fight for my right.
Thank you for that.
Gettysburg?
That was weird as
Nobody
fuck.
Gettysburg? The movie Gettysburg? Never mind. Not important. Not really the podcast. Your first thoughts on the game, Daniel?
My first this time around, almost exactly mirror what Nick was saying. Man, I play this game for the cutscenes. They are so much fun to me. They're the best part of the game. This is the same kind of problem that we run into a lot. Not problem, but observation we make with the games that we play for this podcast is that when you play an older game like this, which I didn't realize that the Red Alert series was right after the first Command and Conquer.
Yeah, it was like a year and change
Yeah.
after the initial Command and Conquer.
So that was like their next like foray, and they were sort of like the pioneers of the RTS genre. Everything else kind of came through out of that.
Well, there's Warcraft was
Wasn't
the
StarCraft
original
first?
Warcraft. No, sorry, that was not meant to be so snappy. But
No.
The original Warcraft, I'm guessing, was 91, and then Warcraft 2, which was the big one, was 95, right?
I don't know.
And I think Command and Conquer was 94, or Red Alert was 96 or 98.
You're the one with the Mighty Dell.
Mighty.
So a lot the problem that I see is that a lot of times when we go back to these, we miss those creature comforts of the things that we're used to now, like small stuff like. You know, I'm trying to think of one now, and I can't even think of it, but I know that they were there when I was playing.
Stuff like cover mechanics, unit hotkeys,
Yes,
stuff like that.
yes. So I mean, you could make different groups in this game, which was cool. Oh, so there were things missing out of the tutorial, like when you have GIs, if you band select them and hit G, they all deploy. But they never tell you that. So for a long time, I was individually deploying all the GIs.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. That like a basic tutorial that. Not that I like the handholding in modern gaming, sometimes it's too long, but in the tutorial tells you how to deploy a GI, but never tells you then there's a button that'll deploy every GI you've got selected. And I literally for the first several times was clicking around like a fucking freak until Daniel pointed out.
Yeah, there was another, like you said,
Sir.
There was another
Confidence
game.
reporting.
You talking to me, boy?
You talking to me, boy?
Wait, who was it? Was it Nate who thought they were saying Conrad reporting?
Conrad reporting. Who the hell is Conrad?
Or was that you, Nick?
No, that was Nate.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
Somebody said that, and it was one of you two.
Yeah. All right. So check it. Warcraft was 94. Command and Conquer was 95. And Warcraft 2 was late 95. But like, yeah, this was the 90s. RTS games were 40% at that point of the gaming economic value. Like for the 90s, not as much the early 2000s, but the 90s specifically, RTSs owned it, and like, I loved it. Like, I'm an RTS fan to the core, and so the 90s were when I learned a game, and it was everything. I'm gonna jump right into my first thoughts, and I'm also gonna jump right on this damn hand grenade. This game blew compared to Red Alert 1. There were some minor gameplay advances that I loved.
Hot take.
But the storyline, all this shit that was the hammy, campy, freaking Joss Whedon Cabin in the Woods, that was Whedon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yes.
The remake?
Stop telling me that. You're the only reason I doubt that. You've told me no.
That is Joss Whedon, Cabin in the Woods.
He was making a hammy joke movie. That stuff and it might have been my age at the time, because I played Command and Conquer and Red Alert when I was in my late tweens, early teens, and I didn't play Red Alert 2.
Don't ever say that.
Don't make me eat out of this podcast. But the campiness, I didn't play Red Alert 2 or 3 until later. I was excited for Tiberium Sun, I played the crap out of it, but Tiberium Sun took itself seriously, and Command & Conquer took itself seriously, and Red Alert took itself seriously, and it was, I think, this is just me spitballing, I have no knowledge on this, it was after all the feedback of like, the hammy campiness is what's great, they're like, put that shit in Red Alert 2, let's make it as campy. The Canadian flag falling in the background and the Marines are pulling it back up.
It was great.
And it was, and it was funny, but like when Tiberium Sun intro ended, I think I was 16, and it goes, "Welcome back, Commander." I got hard. I was 16. It still happens today. But like that, for me,
Personally,
yeah, the time I was playing these games, I was that kid who could fall into something completely unbelievable and take it seriously. And this game, now granted, I also didn't play this game. This is
XCOM 2 was like that for me. That opening where like they're breaking you out.
Yeah.
And
It
then
was
they're like,
too
welcome
hammy?
back, and
No, it was too hammy.
No, it wasn't hammy.
It
It
was
was
the tingles and the
the
warm and
series,
fuzzy.
and it was like, fuck yeah, I'm fully immersed in this game.
Mhm.
I got you.
That's when he got his lady boner.
Lady boner, lady bits,
Man bits.
man boner.
Oh,
Ugh.
wait,
Yeah.
that's just a
That sounds grosser than just boner.
Audiomatic ATM machine.
Audiomatic?
I have to go home now.
You are.
You are.
Shit.
All right, what are we jumping to now, guys?
I don't know, man. You did that awkward segue. Now you're on the hook.
Well, we still haven't gotten Jason's first thoughts on the game.
No,
Oh, we did.
He went right after
Did
you.
we?
We did.
I
Yeah.
was gonna
They
let
were
the
not
silence hang
memorable.
so you could edit it out, but now we're just stuck with this awkward segue. You son.
I'm
of a
okay
bitch.
with that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
definitely okay with that. So we played a little bit of multiplayer together, Nate and I, and it was fun.
Mhm.
We got stomped pretty hard.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I had never run into this before, so I did think it was cool. So when you play multiplayer, you don't have to be just U.S. or Soviets. They have Libya, Cuba, Korea, all these other nations that are all
France,
the same.
Germany, the UK, the US, yeah.
The same buildings and units as the other ones, except they have like one special one. And I think we played against Libya,
The
which
bomb trucks.
yeah, the bomb trucks. So what happened was Nate. You know what usually happens, since I'm really bad at RTSs, is Nate holds the front line while I'm just dicking around in the
Yeah.
back, like just
Usually-
building planes and stuff. And Nate has this issue where the Libyans are sending trucks into his main base full of engineers,
Mm.
which then
Blow up.
take all of his buildings and sell them.
Yeah.
So
It is a common AI tactic to fill the Soviet flak truck has 5 spots inside, and the AI has been trained to put 5 engineers in it, race your base early, and release the engineers because you don't have the firepower to take out the truck, and you probably put your defenses and your units on the exterior of your base. So now there's 5 engineers loose, and they'll capture your buildings and sell them. The Libyan bomb truck is great because those engineers run off in every direction, and when you finally have mobilized the 4 infantrymen you have to kill them, the bomb truck blows them all up. So I just had to watch these engineers. All I had was one Harrier jet in the corner going. You can't see me, right? It's a podcast. But like,
we have a camera.
Just watching these engineers slowly march into my buildings. They took my construction facility. They took my they didn't take my war factory. But they took my construction facility. So my base was effectively stagnant, but I could still build tanks. I had 1 airfield, so I could build 4 planes and a barracks. And the bomb truck decided, second one, to drive directly into my war factory and blow that up. And I was like, Daniel, I'm an infantry force right now, man. And then that second bomb truck that took out my war factory, its engineers went straight for my refineries. So at that point, I had enough to build like 20 infantrymen, and that was it for the game.
Wow.
It was, and I almost.
And that's on medium?
Yeah. Oh no, that one might have been a medium or an easy. We had both mediums and easies on there. It was 4 AIs.
It's still embarrassing either way
yeah.
you look
Oh
at
man, and I was just mortified
I don't think
until
nothing
later in the
beats
game
getting
when it
stomped in
happened
the
to
tutorial, so.
it. Well, yeah, we always have that to look back on.
Daniel.
But I felt pretty embarrassed. I used to be good at the game when I was a kid. But I think that is that disconnect from where you're used to like more modern RTSs, which I wouldn't even say I am because I don't play a lot of them. But even still, so like you came over to play that game, we played a couple of rounds and it said like we should play Generals.
Yeah.
Which
and
is which is still an old game, but it's a little bit more modern in the way it presents itself.
Yeah. And a tactic
How
like
so?
that would work in Generals.
I mean, graphics aside, it's just a little bit more intuitive with the controls.
The interface is just better, right?
Well, I mean, the interface is kind of the same. Like you still have that sidebar where
2004.
Generals.
you know you build your things, but it's more like so you can upgrade like the your buildings, and that give you more things. And you couldn't upgrade the buildings, I don't think, in Red Alert 2.
No.
You could get like you could build things that would so for instance the Soviets had the cloning chamber.
Which
So
would pop out another infantryman, whatever your barracks
Right.
had just trained.
So it augments, but it's still a separate building.
Yeah.
Whereas in like Generals, you would click on a building and they had a bunch of upgrades for that building that
Yeah,
would then
so, like,
upgrade your units you build or other
in
things
Generals,
like
you pay 300, your power plant would double in power. In the Allies, in Red Alert 2, you could build an ore purifier, so now your refineries work better, but it's a separate building you had to build.
that. Here's the I guess this is my biggest gripe with Red Alert 2 was attack move.
Yeah.
There wasn't
There
one.
wasn't one. Yep.
There's no attack move.
StarCraft, I don't think Warcraft 2 had one either. I think StarCraft was the first game, which was 98.
Warcraft 2 definitely had one.
Warcraft 2 had an attack
Yeah.
move? BattleNet Edition or the original Warcraft 2?
BattleNet Edition.
Which came out after StarCraft, I believe. I believe that came out in 2000, whereas original Warcraft 2 was 95 December. I got that for Christmas.
That really bothered me.
So, in the same vein as attack move, I watched a lot of the game online because I was trying to see, the sort of tactics that have been developed in the last 20 years over the game, and I found out a lot of things about the game. Mainly that a lot of the game is kind of hacked together, especially as far as the missions are concerned. So, in some of the missions, like destroy the enemy base missions. If you can get to a specific unit on the battlefield early enough and kill that unit or destroy that turret, the entire mission is over. So you can complete a mission that should take you 3 hours in about 45 seconds.
Because of the speed runs that you've been watching?
Yeah, because of the speed runs that I was watching, and a lot of that is due to just the way that they had to code the game. I guess because they have to have some sort of point of reference for a failure condition at all times in the game. So in a game where both you and the enemy are building a base, the enemy has to start out with some sort of unit. And if you destroy that unit early on,
because
the game is over.
If you knock out their buildings, they lose, and they
Correct.
start with a mobile construction, or which is a unit on a building. I actually never thought about that.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of stuff like that in the game that you don't realize going on behind the scenes that makes the whole thing just really kind of clunky. And actually, it's amazing that they were able to actually get the game out to work back in the day.
Yeah. I wonder. So I've always wondered this. Forgive me if anybody had anything to add on to that now. Westwood was Westwood Studios, and they were the ones Blizzard was releasing games that were solid around the same time. They were in competition with them. Blizzard had great animated video cutscenes, and in all honesty, better RTS games, more polished and just better.
Definitely.
But Westwood had these cutscenes in these videos, and I wonder if maybe they were like, we're not sure if we want to do programming or video, but we're going to set up a studio, and then they just started putting out what would sell. Because they were it was a time frame, now actors I feel like steer away from being in video games because it's that could end your career, whereas then
Not
it's
anymore.
it's exposure.
No.
Yeah,
Look
it's
at Norman
coming back
Reedus,
around,
you know?
it's coming back
Because
around.
people are now seeing that video games are a piece of art.
Yes, yes.
They can be a piece of art.
The Last God of War with Christopher Judd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christopher Judd is the guy who played Teal'c in Stargate.
In Stargate.
Oh, shit!
Yeah,
he was
wasn't originally the
yeah,
voice.
he
I'm
was
buying a
Kratos.
PS4. Remember we were talking about that? And I was
Yeah.
I'm buying one now. I didn't know Teal'c
Yeah.
was in frickin'
Yeah.
damn.
He
Sony.
plays Kratos.
All right, okay.
Yeah, there's
okay.
that's my favorite thing is voice acting. I just love there was a bunch of hidden celebrities in Halo 2.
Yeah.
They're half of that 70 show cast was in it.
Peter Dinklage gave a really great robotic performance in Destiny.
We're gonna have to defer on what really great.
Well,
means.
he was really great as an emotionless robot, but nobody wanted Peter Dinklage to play an emotionless robot. You want to go through this list? I know this is more your area of speed than mine. I know we had asked some questions about. Right, there's the microphone. We had asked some questions about. You guys had some questions about this. I pulled the list up. I don't know.
Oh, no, you can do this.
All right. Let's pass the mighty Dell around.
Wonderful.
There were a bunch of speaking of the voice actors, a bunch of questions of who the hell played General Carville, the Allied general. It's Barry Corbin.
I think that's the human embodiment of a bulldog.
Yes.
Is what I
Oh,
think that
actually, I've seen him in a bunch of stuff, but most recently he was in the latest season, or maybe not necessarily no, he was in the latest season. The latest season of Better Call Saul.
Sorry. Daniel said the human embodiment of a bulldog. That's his IMDb photo. I will.
For those who can't
I
see,
will throw this on the YouTube video. I'll just cut the Eddie video and put a picture of him up for 10 seconds.
Yeah, but he usually plays, kind of just the same old curmudgeon type of dude, character actor.
And in the game, he's deader than a Texas armadillo.
He does.
So here's the thing about those videos, and I know we keep on going back to them, but that kind of set this game
That's
apart
half of the
from.
That's
game.
what made the game.
Yeah.
It's literally what made the game.
It's what set it apart from every other RTS I had played, at least at that time. Was I had never seen real people in video games before. It was always like those shitty CGI, what they called CGI at the time, characters. So even though Warcraft and StarCraft had those awesome
StarCraft cutscenes were.
cutscenes, it was still just CGI.
Yeah.
And when you had real people on there who were breaking the fourth wall and talking to you,
Yes.
me, little
Because
kid
you
me
played a
sitting there,
character, yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna pretend that these people are actually talking to me.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, I know there was others like that, but the Men in Black ride at Universal.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like the same, and there's other rides
Yeah.
like that too. I mean, I think Back to the Future ride was like that as well.
Yeah.
And yours,
Yeah,
the
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
So here's a fun game that I discovered, actually thanks to a YouTube comment while I was playing this. After every fade to black from the cutscene, one of the cutscenes, just imagine that fades into a porno.
Yeah.
Because the video
Yeah.
quality
Yeah,
is
oh.
very much like a
you
90s
made that
porno.
comment earlier. They hid it on 2 discs. I'm like, they didn't hide it on 2 discs. Did you see that? What 144p video quality on there? Like,
Well, so that was a question I had. I don't know if I brought it up in the mid, or either in the mid or last episode, was in the remastered versions, are they going to reshoot the scenes?
So
or are they
I
just
finally
gonna...
watched that video. I assume that you watched where they announced the remaster, and it does look a lot better.
this
Oh,
is
so they're not reshooting, they're just actually...
They're not reshooting. They're just. I guess they got the original files.
They may have the original film.
Yeah, they must because the
Yeah.
original one was pretty pixelated, and these look
It was
better.
like they
I
said
didn't
144p.
see. I didn't really see what you were talking about, Nate, with the Vaseline kind of
It
blurred
looks-
edges and all that.
It looked like they blurred it out. I don't know, and it's possible that they didn't shoot it in. Was it film cameras have always shot in HD? Like celluloid has always been in HD compared to digital media. So you can take an old film reel and produce
You can
HD
upscale it.
digital. Yeah, not produce HD digital. But like I really saw blurring lines on the edges, specifically of the this is forgive us, we're referencing the Command and Conquer and Red Alert 1 remaster that's coming out soonish, or it's just been announced.
On Steam, so you don't have to put Origin on your computer.
Yes, yeah.
All right, I have it there.
Oh, what the hell's the matter with you?
I wanted to play Mass Effect Andromeda. Stupid me.
Yeah, why did you want to do that?
Because I like Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Well,
me
also,
too.
this bad man got epic, too.
I had to. I wanted to play Outer Worlds.
It's okay. I don't have any hate on that.
Wait for it to be on Steam like the rest of us.
I couldn't wait anymore. It's a great game, and
It's
it's
not
worth
as
it.
terrible as
And you
Origin.
can go fuck yourself, making me
Anyway,
think about
they may
getting
have had the
epic.
original film.
Sucks for you. I'm having a great time playing it.
Well, I'll wait.
I think Nick had something to say there.
I actually forgot what I was going to say because it sounds like Nate's choking a seal.
I was giggling. I'm sorry. I have a very masculine giggle.
So did anyone actually end up finishing the game this time around?
I finished the Allied campaign.
Hey! So you started, like, what, a week ago?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
And he finished a campaign, and the three of us who host this podcast didn't finish either campaign. This is a new... Let's give a round of applause for ourselves here, guys. This is a new
For
low.
us or for him?
This is for us.
For us, yeah.
I'm sorry. A member of this podcast finished the game. That means we all won. Communism. I played the right
I also served the Soviet Union.
Yes.
Our unexpected communism.
Not for me. I knew what I was doing.
Excellent.
Okay, so one of the really interesting things in the RTS genre is the evolution of the genre itself.
Yeah.
So if you go back and you look at the original RTS games from the 90s, your Command and Conquers, your Warcrafts, and even to an extent the still in the Blizzard wheelhouse, but StarCraft, right? You have what are at their core very similar games. You gather resources, you build your base, you survive a rush, and you counterattack.
Yep.
Or you rush and then you get counterattacked.
It's defense and then attack. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. In the early games, there weren't a lot of additional mechanics. There were what we call hard counters. So, for example, you have a tank. You can have an infantry unit shooting at that tank. He's going to shoot at that tank all day,
Yeah.
and he's not going to do anything. What you need is a counter for that tank. You need a rocket unit. You need another tank. There weren't really as many soft counters, although to an extent there were in the early Command & Conquer games. You could put 50 infantry units firing their M16s, and for some reason you could take out an Abrams.
Yeah.
Or in layman's terms, Pokemon, fire beats grass, all that.
You know,
Is that
I feel
layman's terms?
I feel like you've used that same analogy in like 3 games now. It's
Really?
not a bad thing.
I think what you meant to say was in animeman's terms.
But yes,
Get out.
that does make sense. Yes, fire would beat grass, psychic beats spoon. I don't know.
Like Age of Empires does.
You.
There is no spoon.
Like Age of Empires does, where there was like the 3.
There was shock,
Yeah.
pierce, and ranged. Yeah.
Exactly. So there were some Command and Conquers. There were some hard counters in Command and Conquer, or soft counters rather. For example, if you played the Allied campaign, Rocketeers are a goddamn counter to everything. I don't even know what they're firing.
Rockets.
No, not rocket. The
No,
rocket
they-
troops, the
they-
rocket troops, the jetpack.
Yeah,
troops,
I know.
They have a gun that goes. It's like a depleted uranium cork cannon or something. They're not holding anything. It goes.
Yeah.
And a tank takes 20% damage.
Yeah.
What the fuck just
Ye
happened?
old depleted uranium cork gun.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
That's it.
So in those older games, you had a lot more hard counters. You had a lot less soft counters, and there was really not a whole lot of in between. You didn't have stuff like modern games have. Like you have cover mechanics in modern games. You've got different types of upgradability. Like we were talking about in generals, you can upgrade buildings.
Yeah.
Buildings. They brought an additional tier of
You can
research.
also upgrade different units based on research.
In older games, research is very, very linear. There's only one path of research that you can ever really take, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in a game like Generals, your research path may vary depending on what your opponent is doing.
Yeah.
In an older game like Red Alert 2 or the original Command & Conquerors or Warcraft, your research really doesn't take a different path. At any
Yeah,
point.
StarCraft was
the
a big
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
was a big culprit of that. I was just thinking like you gotta get your pylons, yeah, and then you just keep on. It's the same strategy kind of over and over again.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying before. To expand on that is when I was trying to think of things that are missing from Red Alert 2 that I'm used to, and there is no research whatsoever. The research is as you go through the campaign, you get access to more and more buildings. Whereas, like, I think what you're saying is, you know, in the newer Command & Conquer titles and other RTSs, there's usually some sort of research training.
Yeah, and whereas in the older titles, your research is limited to what building are you going to
Your
build next.
Right,
research
right.
was your
Yeah.
building tree unlocking.
Exactly.
units,
Your
yeah.
one building will unlock
was
another.
Homeworld like that as well?
Homeworld had research,
Homeworld
yeah.
had actual research. Like
Yeah, that's what I
like-
thought. Yeah,
like-
that one kind of stood out, other than being what is it, 40?
But
or
it's kind of
whatever.
the same. I guess it was. There were certain things in Homeworld that you absolutely had to research, and then there were things where it's like, oh, do I want to upgrade my interceptors with armor or this and that, which you could skip. But in like Command and Conquer, you get those. I'm thinking of generals, where the more units you kill, you get research points, and then you get to go down 3 different trees
Yeah.
to specialize your
the
army.
skill points for the
skill
general
points.
skills. Yeah.
And that kind of also is the same, almost the same exact system they use in Company of Heroes.
Yeah.
Where you have the 3 different trees, and by killing more units, you get the.
I wanted to love Company Heroes so bad, but that is probably the antithesis of,
That was
of me, of like me hating RTSs because I'm so bad.
I love Company of
It's-
Heroes,
dude,
but I'm
you
so
know
it's
bad
so
at it.
fucking
You are
difficult.
terrible.
I'm
at it.
really bad. I know.
You know why? So Relic and then Barking Dog to a lesser extent. Barking Dog was involved in Company Heroes, right? Because they did Homeworld Cataclysm. All right.
I don't think they were involved in Co at all.
Okay. I think whatever. I'll look that up when somebody else is talking. But that game, that was when RTSs, because that was the end, the last death rattle of the RTS genre being the
Yeah.
dominant gaming platform, and that was when it reached. Not now, League of Legends and modern stuff in Defense of the Ancients. Oh, burn. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That should stay around forever. I am ashamed.
But that was before the modern RTS Online. Like, what's the game I used to play with you? We all did. StarCraft base, where you build buildings and it creates different units. Desert Strike,
Desert
Sands.
Strike.
Those are
Right,
just
yeah.
mods for StarCraft.
Yes, those are mods, but those were also like rapid-paced RTS Onlines. Co was the preamble to those, and that it was when RTSs, the engine and the way that game was built for competitive play. And so if you're not good at them, probably not going to like multiplayer because you're going to get stomped. And then they took that mechanic, and unlike with StarCraft 2, where they did have tweaks on the mechanics to make the single-player game feel you could build your force,
Mhm.
and that stuff didn't carry to multiplayer because multiplayer was the base.
Yeah, I that was one thing. I never played the
Yeah.
campaign. I only played multiplayer.
Oh yeah.
And god damn, I'm bad at
Yeah,
this
you-
shit.
you'll learn to hate
The
Crow real
only
fast
thing
if
is
you
like
just play multiplayer.
the preamble is fun. Like I like moving my forces, but I don't care for building up shit.
Well,
I
once
don't-
you for Company of Heroes, once you get like into the shit, it becomes who is fast enough, who can think fast enough and click fast enough and move across the map fast enough and react quick enough to win. And that is not me.
Yeah, same.
I'm a
Yeah,
grand
I
strategy person. I like to sit and think about what I'm
I'm
doing.
Yeah,
actually
exactly.
gonna disagree with you there.
Really?
Co- Company of Heroes is not a click fest. Company of Heroes is not a. I mean, there's micromanagement of units, but it is not a micro intense game compared to some other ones in the genre.
I'll say that. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, Co is actually.
I didn't realize there was no attack button,
Yeah.
and that was really annoying.
Well, there was an attack button, but you had to click on a unit. You couldn't attack and
Ex-
move.
yeah, exactly. But then also, if you just moved them and an enemy's there, they would just start attacking willy-nilly.
Yeah. The enemy would.
Well, the enemy would, but they had to stop moving. So if you were to like say, I'm gonna send my whole army to the middle of the enemy base, they'll walk all the way in and then stop at the point that you sent them to, and then start shooting. Which in a lot of like the other RTSs, you attack move, and if they hit an enemy on the way, they'll all stop and fire.
Literally the only thing well, I did play Warcraft 3, but that's a bit of an outlier. That's a bit. It's
Warcraft
especially
3.
compared to Warcraft 2, and even compared to the other Blizzard one, which is StarCraft, which basically my knowledge of RTS.
I've
is
never
going
heard of
blind.
this StarCraft. What is
StarCraft. What be this? Those are the only other RTSs I've ever played, and Nate really wants to say something vehemently. So I'm gonna go
A
ahead.
moth started attacking my face. That's what that was, and that's why I just sat quietly because I was like, I didn't want you guys to be like, why is Nate fucking doing this signal from that Muppet movie?
Florida.
Just a moth was like, oh, your face looks delicious.
I have a confession. The entire time you guys have been saying attack move, I've been thinking you're saying attack ground. And I didn't want to say anything like you guys are fucking wrong.
There is an attack ground. Oftentimes, I'd accidentally try to move a tank and have it shooting at one of my power plants. I was like, "Stop! What are you doing?"
But
Yeah.
you know, back to what I was saying about. Well, I'll go on also the differences between Warcraft 2 and I never played Warcraft 2, but in talking with you over these
It
years,
was like
with-
StarCraft 1.
exactly,
Yeah.
and then which I guess both of you guys didn't like having like a hero aspect to Warcraft.
Warcraft 3, I didn't really care for the hero
Yeah,
aspect.
because
no.
there were RPG elements, which I.
Yeah, I guess so. That was like probably their foyer into
The
merging-
foyer.
the foyer of merging
Nice.
like Diablo with their RTSs and
They
then
did, yeah.
combining that and then being like, oh, we can make World of
I
Warcraft. out of
cannot
this.
deny the
Yeah.
immense popularity of Warcraft 3, despite my dislike of it, because they integrated everything they were good at, which was the RTS and the RPG aspects. Which is why I hated it, because I wanted one or the other. I
Yeah,
liked
and
Diablo
I think
2,
that's
liked
kind of
Warcraft.
where I think that's kind of where that fucked me in going into. I'll say it again, the foyer.
Because you didn't think that's the foyer of this game.
So that's,
Which kind of fucked me over going into those type of games because I mean I kind of thought all of the RTSs kind of had like a hero
Uh-huh.
because that was my first one. I mean I played StarCraft here and there, but
Raider in StarCraft was just a really high damage, high health Marine.
But you're not giving him items.
He wasn't items.
Yeah.
or there was no
Powers.
leveling aspect.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
that's kind of a really good segue into the next phase of RTS development. You had the additional research, and then after that, certain companies, a la Blizzard, and then to a smaller extent Relic in the early Dawn of War franchise, introduced hero units where you could upgrade the equipment on the hero, and all of a sudden this hero is as good as one or two squads
Yep.
of high tier units, and you have a choice to make. You can either build squads and try to micromanage armies, or you could just build one hero and give him a big stick and have him go beat on shit.
I love the Warhammer series because you had specifically the Imperial Guard, was it, faction? You could have units with modifiers. So what was you'll know the name of the unit. The officer you would attach, and he could execute.
The commissar.
The commissar
Yeah.
could execute one of your 13-member squad, and then the other 12
I
members.
thought you weren't a red.
It was a fascist style commissar. He's like, oh, they're way too far. You're not. I'm sorry. But like you could, the commissar's power was to execute a single trooper, one of 13 of these ineffective, weak, easily broken troopers. Okay.
I missed something there.
He Hitler mustached his face and then slowly leaned at me until I noticed him. And so that guy had an ability. That was like StarCraft and Warcraft 2. The heroes were high damage, heavy health, and they were your lead grunt. But in Warcraft 3, specifically the multiplayer, to a lesser extent the single player, your character leveled up and had skills, and it became you had to assign it. And then in Warcraft 3 multiplayer, if you went around and killed all the ambient animals or whatever to level up your hero, you could roll into your base with unupgraded level 1 orcs and your hero and knock me out.
Okay, so that's one aspect that I didn't think about it because Warcraft 3 I never, maybe like once or twice with you, but I never really played multiplayer. So in the story, I guess it really didn't matter.
Yeah.
But I can see from what you're saying right now
Yeah.
that was kind of a
Yeah,
shitty
multiplayer,
aspect.
you have to
It
creep
wasn't
out.
shitty. It was just not
You
something I
have
liked.
to creep out and start getting those NPCs and level up your...
Isn't that like makes me think of Dota? Isn't
Yes.
that kind of
That's-
like
that's
how
exactly-
Warcraft,
Yeah.
Warcraft
Yes.
is where Dota started. It was a Warcraft 3 mod.
It was
Yeah.
Warcraft 3 mod, specifically with the hero.
So basically-
Defenders of the Alliance.
Yes.
So basically, Dota is them just taking the RTS out of Warcraft 3 and just
No,
Some
no,
of
no,
it
no.
did,
heroes.
but it went to a lot more like tower defense aspect, where your base was going to randomly spawn X number of troops. Did you build buildings in Dota?
No.
Yeah. So your base was going to spawn troops that were going to go at the enemy. You had no control over them, and you were playing the hero.
You had to push your lane into the enemy base.
Yeah, and
by,
so your
by
hero would be running around.
accompanying your troops.
Yeah. And your hero, you could run around
Okay.
and defend these troops with the troops do damage on their own.
So I figured it was more of like those troops were also other online
No,
players.
no. So like it spawns like 3 or 4, I think, at a time. And I think
As you
what is
take
it?
towers, it'll
4
spawn.
and 4 or 5 and 5? What is Dota?
Dota can be 1-on-1 all the way up to 5-on-5.
Right. So everyone has a different lane, and in each lane it spawns I think 3 or maybe 4.
It depends. There's multiple different
Yeah.
wave spawning. Sometimes it just spawns a few creeps. Sometimes it'll spawn the creeps and like a catapult or something.
So
with them.
it'll spawn NPC guys who just, by their own, run towards the enemies. And at the same time, your enemies are spawning guys. So they'll just equal each other out. And what the difference is that you are the hero unit, and you get to choose what hero you want to play.
Okay.
So you want to like help out your creeps and help overcome the enemy wave that's coming at you. And at the same time, you have that other enemy hero who's also helping their people. So it's a back and forth, and it's kind of like you just build momentum, and you try to overcome at the same time with your friends and all that. And what makes it kind of interesting is like you can leave your lane and go to someone else and help them. So now you have 2 heroes against 1 and their creeps, and so there's a lot of strategy that goes into it.
It's a weird
There's
thing
a lot
to
of
think about
healing
because
things.
it's like
That too.
leveling on the fly. That's a very strange thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you and me, we would be. This is the worst possible
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
we've ever
no,
played.
yeah.
Well,
That's why I've never.
that time period, going back to RTSs as a whole, it started a fracture because you had the Democratic Republican Party. It got so big when it defeated the Whigs, it fractured into 2. RTSs have become so big. You had Warcraft 3 coming out. Yeah, I'm pulling politics into this. What's up?
I was about to say hot take.
Hello.
You're pulling 1790 politics.
I don't like the modern arguments. Whoa, that sounded terrible.
Yes.
Oh, no. But so you had Warcraft 3 come out, and then Dota came out because some people were like, I love this aspect. StarCraft was out there, and there were people like me that were like, this is dumb. I want to focus on the base building.
You
And
didn't
that
like StarCraft?
No, people, sorry, I may have structured that sentence poorly. I didn't like the leveling up the individual heroes of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought.
And
Yeah,
Dota,
yeah.
the few rounds I played at Dota, I was completely lost. Desert Strike, a game the 3 of us played a lot. I think you played 1 or 2 rounds with us.
It's a mod of StarCraft.
It's a mod of StarCraft.
Oh.
You only have control over your base structures, and they aren't the same. They're similar to the ones in the game because they use the sprites. But you build a supply depot, and that'll pop out 2 or 3 Marines in a wave.
They're not sprites.
Okay, you're right.
They're Coca-Colas.
Fuck you. But so you build a new supply depot, and now your next wave is going to have 3 more Marines, but you have 0 control. They are NPCs, and they're going.
They just run at each other.
Huh.
And there's bases and stuff. And so what I liked about
Yeah, I never played that. That's
I like
very
Desert
interesting.
Strike.
It's fun.
And Nickel backed me up on the near.
Nickelback.
Yeah.
This is why he can't be recorded. We gotta have
Nickel, back me up.
Nickel back me up. Look at this graph. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh man.
But so
When and if we get into like editing this video,
yeah.
you could put that
Yeah,
guy
I'm
in
gonna
there.
skip this
Like,
graph. So everybody who listened to the mid-month, we tried a 2-camera mid-month that will not be released because my laptop shot in 10 frames per second, and that camera.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
really?
it's got to be a setting. Yeah, Windows Movie Maker, great product, Bill.
There's no games in here.
But granted, this Mighty Dell is super old. But so in Desert Strike, the waves would go an alternate. So the 3 of us would play together. Nick had a lot more experience than me, and there's no manual. There's no written down. It's all theory based on actual data collected by playing base. So Nick could give me tips as we were going, and PJ could give me tips while we were going until I felt like I was getting good. And then I nearly ended Nick and I's friendship by screaming at him. And I think you screamed back in the living room while we were losing. the
No,
match.
that never happened.
I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
believe when Daniel was on tour once, Nick and I
Very
we
stable
became friends that night. But I think we both texted you separately. You're the peanut butter that makes this white bread sandwich work, man. Where you at?
It's like, I gotta get
That's
back.
racist.
These guys are gonna kill
Yeah,
each other.
Yeah. Well, look at the 3 of us when we lived together. We got white, and
I don't know what the
Some
whiskey.
sort of.
Whiskey. He's whiskey.
whatever the hell I am.
So, it's interesting that you brought up the hero units because, like I said, those are kind of the next part of the evolution. But at the same time that was happening, the split that Nate was talking about was happening, and you had a different Relic game in Company of Heroes taking a completely opposite direction. You didn't have hero units. They brought in different mechanics and different victory conditions for, they brought in the cover mechanics. They brought in different research. They brought in different style factions, and it was less about the base building, even though there was some
base building aspects.
But it wasn't as intensely about the base building. You had very few buildings you could actually build, and it became more about resource management and supply lines.
Asset denial.
Yeah, and asset denial. And it became much more like a real strategy game.
Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you had Homeworld coming out, which was taking the original 2D mechanic and spreading it into a pure 3D.
That's so strange because I fucking loved Homeworld.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Homeworld, and I was just gonna say so XCOM, that was one of my favorite new games to ever go into, and I still love it. I want to go back into it, but it still to me has that strategy that is in RTSs, but a little bit just more turned down. Where I'm like, obviously you're not controlling whole armies; you're just controlling one.
Well, XCOM,
I think that's the RT part of RTS, which would be real time.
It's TBS, is turn-based strategy like Civilizations, and XCOM brought in elements. So the original XCOM had the base building, which was real time.
Yeah, I remember
and then
talking
the
about that.
battles, which were turn-based. And the new XCOMs brought in elements of the real time in that, all right, I'm not going to move this troop so I can put them on Overwatch is what it's called.
Overwatch,
and there were different elements. And this guy, and it had the leveling, this guy's leveled up to the point where he doesn't need to be stationary.
There you go.
And
that's exactly
the
what
genre
it is.
got so big, it fractured into all these things, and it became, the last pure RTS in my mind was Homeworld, because they took a base RTS and put a third dimension on it, but they didn't really change the mechanics. Whereas Co and all these other things were changing the mechanics.
I think you
to
just
build a new
made me
genre.
realize why I enjoyed it so much, because the first type of RTS I got into was Warcraft 3, and it involved the heroes, and basically XCOM is just, you have
XCOM
6 heroes.
Is not an RTS by any measure.
It's a TBS, but it's got
a
elements that
tactical.
are
There's the only RTS quote unquote is the base.
No, I wasn't saying that it's an RTS. I was just trying to.
But it's just a completely different kind of game.
Well, it's a strategy game, which he doesn't play regularly. So
But I mean, you can't compare. That's apples and oranges. There.
A modern RTS doesn't today. There's actually not even base building in a lot of new RTS.
Right.
RTS
but it's still
games.
real time, which XCOM is not.
But
it's turn-based.
The real key to this discussion, going back to Red Alert 2, is that formula doesn't work anymore.
No.
Because the Westwood devs, and I was really excited about this, the Westwood devs actually got together and they made a game in the same vein as the old school Command & Conquers. It was called Grey Goo. You can still get it on Steam.
Oh,
it's,
right,
yeah. I remember Grey Goo,
it's fun to play through. But it's the same style of game. There's no modern creature comforts, right? There's no terrain management. There's no unit limitations, which is another thing that was brought in. There's no real resource management. It's go gather resources and get as much as you can.
Right.
Right. And that formula really doesn't work. I didn't enjoy the game like I thought I would.
So did they kind of try to take the RTS formula at its core and boil it down to the very kind of like meat of what an RTS was supposed to be.
You must construct additional pylons.
And then put that out there, like, hey, here's that RTS you guys all remember, but it just didn't.
It doesn't hit because the game has evolved so much, which is why you could make Red Alert 2 today, and it wouldn't be a success.
Right.
Which is why I don't like Red Alert 2, because I didn't.
So do you think the
remaster?
I played it.
Yeah.
I didn't play it. I waited for Tiberium Sun, and I was playing Icewind Dale or something.
So do you think the remaster will do any good then?
I think the remaster I'm going to buy it because I love the original games, right? But you know exactly what you're getting in a remaster, right? You're getting a lot of nostalgia. Whereas in a game like Grey Goo, not to shit on the Westwood devs, or I can't remember what the studio is now, but
it wasn't Westwood, but it was the
same
studio they started when they got the whole crew together. Yeah.
It was the same formula. It just doesn't work in today's world.
You expect more.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But, so, well, to that aspect of you saying that you know what you're getting from a remaster, I think that's kind of out the window now with the remasters that are going on right now.
We don't talk about Resident Evil.
I was at least going to suggest Resident Evil, but then I was also going to say, look at Final Fantasy VII's remaster. Apparently, that is not technically a remaster. They're actually like redoing a lot of stuff and.
So I mean, there's a difference between like doing a remaster where they just bump the graphics up and doing one where they build the whole engine or use a new engine to build the same game.
I think that's what's happening with Mafia. I think they're building a. I think they're
gonna have
engine.
to. That same engine isn't gonna fly.
Yeah.
So I think what I would like. So you've got your HDs, which we've talked about before, which are just a graphical update. The mechanics in the background are staying the same. Whereas you have a remaster, and the thing they have to hit, and the thing that they have to hit with CNC and Red Alert is they have to bring in the quality of life upgrades we're used to from modern gaming without changing the mechanics too much. And if they Obama thumb at me, if they don't bring in some quality of life upgrades, it'll fall on its face. I'm like, this is just an HD. And if they bring in too many quality of lives that include mechanical changes, we're gonna be like, this isn't.
Yeah,
this
so
isn't
my
the game
love.
I wanted.
And that's why
yeah.
remasters are. They're almost their own thing because it's like we're not breaking the mold. We're taking the old IP, we're selling you nostalgia, and then we're going to give you the modern, smooth interface, which is one of the things I was bitching about. I don't know if it actually got recorded or if it was my sound check I was bitching about. The interface on this was old, because it's an old damn game. And remasters, they take away a lot of, like, I can't WSD my camera. I have to arrows, because, of course, in the 90s, you go left, right, up, down with the left, right, up, down
That
arrows.
shit
Whereas
threw me
now
off
it's like...
so much.
Which Total War was it? Was the first one that they moved? They didn't map it to WSD. They mapped it to both because they knew people like me had just finished Half-Life 2. It was Rome 1. Rome 1 came out, and I was like, oh, it's an RTS. I gotta come back over here, and I like bumped the A, and the camera goes like, no way. And like that, those little quality of life stuff. That's what we want in a remaster, and that's more than an HD.
So it's a balancing act basically.
Yeah.
Where you want to make it comfortable for not only the people who played the game already and want to come back and have it with those creature comforts, but possibly even draw in a new crowd who maybe heard of the game or their
Tony
friends
Hawk,
play it.
that's another
and
one.
They're like, okay, they can jump right in and feel at home, but you're not breaking the spirit of the game, which might be harder for RTSs than any other kind of game.
Hell yeah.
Because if you change those core mechanics, you're changing the way the game plays.
I'm going to toss in a shameless plug real quick for one of my favorite remasters. So another Westwood game was Command & Conquer Renegade. It was it was Westwood's foray into the first-person shooter.
Really?
Yes,
it's on the first decade disc.
It's on the first decade
back
disc.
over.
It is
way back in the day.
It is incredible. It's got all the it's got the same base that you play in Command & Conquer. You've got the Hand of Nod and everything in the game.
30-story.
Except you're playing as a trooper. You can earn money to buy vehicles in the game. You can upgrade your trooper to having a different gun. You can become a sniper or anything like that. The game was successful, but at the same time the studio was floundering after they made the game. So it never really saw the sort of success that it could.
They couldn't market it.
It came out though, like it came out.
It was a full release. I played the hell out of it as a kid.
It was forced into a little bit of an early release.
Yeah.
They were, but I think you were supposed to be playing the original idea. I don't know if it was the release because I stopped tracking it because Westwood fell.
I only ever really played the multiplayer.
So and that's what I'm saying. I never played the game until much later, but I was tracking it when it was being built. You were supposed to be in Command & Conquer. There was the Commando, which was a one-shot kill sniper unit who could C4 buildings. So he could one-shot kill any infantry unit and any building he could touch, and it would explode 3 seconds later. And that was the unit you were supposed to play as, because he was the most powerful infantry unit. But any tank, any Jeep with a machine gun on it, he was fucked. And that's what they built. And then when Half-Life came out, while it was in dev, and they're like, well, we got to give these bitches every damn gun.
I was about to say,
they had to pivot like twice.
That piques my interest, because I was like, I mean, with any RTS, I'm always saying that, like, man, I really wish I was just one of the cog, you know.
So let me continue to pique your interest then. A fan actually rebuilt the entire game from the ground up in the Unreal Engine, and it's completely free. The servers are up and running 24/7. It's called Renegade X. It is just phenomenal.
I think you just gave us a topic for the mid-month.
Is that what you sent us like a couple
years
ago?
I sent you Renegade X. It was last year.
Yeah.
And it is completely free to download, and it is phenomenal. The servers are really only populated on the weekends, but it is the best remaster of a game I've ever played.
So is this kind of like what StarCraft Ghosts was supposed to be?
Yes, very similar.
What is that? What the fuck is StarCraft?
You played as a ghost. You played as a ghost from StarCraft, first person.
Yeah, it was the game. The game was really kind of revolutionary for its time. The only game that I can think of that really approached it was not Commando, Quake Wars, Enemy Territory. If you ever played that one.
Yeah.
Jay, you remember Nova from a few of the Brawl and Melee games, the Super Smash Brothers games, Nova. She was a character, I believe, in Brawl. She might have been in Melee. Or no, she's in StarCraft's competitive.
Why the fuck would they? StarCraft has never been in Smash
I don't
Brothers.
think he's not talking about Nova. He's talking about Heroes of the Storm.
There's been no Blizzard.
That's Blizzard's MOBA. Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, I know, but
There's another game. I thought.
Are you talking about
No,
Overwatch?
you're right.
Maybe.
I'm not sure, but Nova is the IP for Ghost. Nova was the name, so it was a blonde Kerrigan. They were trying to bring back the Kerrigan from StarCraft. And so she's a blonde Ghost, and she's in MOBAs, and I thought she was in a fighting game.
Yeah.
Like,
She's not in.
Definitely not Smash.
Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah. So if you ever see in some of the, I know that you play those games more than I do. You ever see Nova? She's a blonde Ghost in like a skin-fitting suit with a big rifle. She was the main character of Ghost, and Blizzard reached the end and said,
I mean,
nah,
I won't
never released
eliminate it because maybe she's a trophy because there's a lot of trophies in Smash Brothers that like, I don't know what the fuck.
It definitely wasn't one of the playable characters. But
Yeah,
that's who was going to be the main character of that game. And they got really late in production of that.
They basically, after like I think 2 years delayed, they said fuck it and just delete the files.
Yeah.
Like we're done.
It's a shame. It looked great.
But that's why, going back to what we were talking about with the rise and fall of Blizzard, that's when Blizzard only put out good shit. They literally would delete a game that wasn't quality enough. And that's StarCraft Ghost, and it's dead. Which is
All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We got to go to favorite, least favorite. And who wants to start us off? I think our guest should start us off here.
Finish this. Well, what do you want to do?
Favorite, least favorite sounds pretty good to me.
Let's hear it.
I think obviously my favorite portion of the game has got to be the video cuts.
Yep.
Just hands down, just campy, a ton of fun. Really, really worth playing through the game just to figure it out.
Yep.
My least favorite, the game, and this isn't really, it can't really be a criticism of the game itself because it was kind of a limitation to what the game was at the time. But you're basically just throwing balls of units at each other at the end of the day. There's not, I mean, obviously there are people that took it to a whole nother level. Competitive StarCraft proves that. But that's when you have like the weird meta of clicks per minute that you have to get into micro individual units, and that's just not fun to me.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be my least favorite portion of the game. It's really the lack of tactical depth.
You can take any game to a limit where it's not fun anymore.
Yep.
You're playing to be the best you can, but you're not having fun in it.
Factorial, we were talking
That's
directly
your
at
fault,
you.
man.
Yeah, also, that was your fault. We did episode 3
You
because of
economic
Nick's
bastard.
suggestion. That game was great. All right,
Nick.
do you want to go next or you want me to?
I'll go next. It's very short. Agree. Definitely, like, one of the appeals of this game, even though I was definitely too young to play this game, just having live action in a video game is just fucking astonishing to me.
Yep.
So I thought it was really incredible to do, and then obviously my least favorite is that I fucking suck at RTS. So.
Nobody judged you, man. It's a safe space. So the first time ever, this is a safe space.
I'm going to continue on. I think maybe Nate won't, but
I already know I'm breaking.
There we go.
I'm breaking from the herd.
The live action cutscenes, they're the best. Like you said, campy, hammy. I love them. When I realized I wasn't going to be able to finish this game before we were going to record, I just watched them all. And it was great. You can find YouTube videos of all of them in a row, so you get the whole story. It's amazing. And so I completely forgot about this. I played Red Alert 3. I never finished it because I hated the game.
I like 3 more, honestly, but that was me.
But they had Tim Curry was in the.
Oh yeah, I've heard
him in the
that's
camp,
right.
and they didn't embrace it. They just said, not only we're gonna nuke their eyes with ham and camp in 3.
But I was okay with the cutscenes from that game. Just the game sucked. Love the cutscenes.
What made
That
it
was
worse
not a
than Red Alert 2?
No, it wasn't. No.
It was a very different.
It was different.
It's different. It's very different.
Least favorite, kind of what Nick said, and what Jay said. I'm really bad at RTSs. I'm not going to hold that against the game. But it doesn't have the new things where it's like you can make this army your own. Whoever said that earlier. You're just whoever can produce units faster than the other person and counter more effectively, which is a legit game type. I'm not trying to knock that. A lot of people like that kind of game. Not me.
Obviously, I probably played 10,000 hours of that as a kid, so I loved it at some point.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, actually, but before we go on, I wanted to ask you, like, so when you were growing up, was your, like, main console a PC?
Yeah, it was a PC. Actually,
That makes sense.
We had more,
Okay.
we had 4 different PCs in 4
Remember his
different rooms
dad
in my
worked in
house.
IT.
So basically, people would come over to my house and we would have like LAN parties in the 90s.
That's
It
the
was
thing, though. Like, the
ridiculous.
only person I ever saw playing any PC games was you, and like, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't even you. Still only like,
Me.
I wouldn't say only Daniel. You still grew up in the same phase as me with consoles, so you
Right,
still
right.
got that. Even going back because Phil the Casuals, name dropping, they're going through like the history of video games right now.
I love it.
And
I love
when-
these episodes.
Yeah, when they're talking, when they go, they usually leave the PC part to it. To the end. No idea what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because like I couldn't even comprehend gaming on PC back then.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on when you're a kid, it's what your parents have, you know? Or what they buy
Exactly,
you,
that,
so.
and that's the biggest thing.
I
yeah.
wasn't allowed to have a console. I was not. My mom didn't want that gaming bullshit in the house. And we got PCs. We had PCs. So I naturally went into PC gaming. My uncle gave me his old Nintendo Entertainment System in 1996. So 10 years after it released, my mom was pissed. What did I do? I made my eyes bleed with Dr. Mario and fucking Burger Time. Like,
So what you're saying is your mom was right.
yes, but she was right in the same way that I'm right, so you're not going to do this, and she illegalized it, and then I went and played computer games because she outlawed it, and I just found a way
Which,
around
you know,
the law.
we're kind of more of the Wild Wild West of gaming anyway, so it backfired on her.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Yeah.
You could find way different games and way cooler games on PC than you could on a
indie
console.
games and Minecraft.
Yeah.
And that's what. Yeah. You know what? That's
Cool.
exactly because I was fucking. All right. You want your 64? Have it. You want your Super Nintendo? Have it. You want your PlayStation? Have it. If I was limited to just a PC, I wonder.
You'd
You
go
could find
outside.
it, yeah.
Or you'd be fat like me and start playing Command and Conquer and Warcraft 2. Alright, my favorite, least favorite. Least favorite, and it's not a critique on the game or the way it was developed, it's the time frame, the interface. I got in so many fights with that interface because I didn't know the hotkeys, I couldn't use WASD, all these other little things that are quality of life improvements, quality of wife improvements, okay, well, horny and a misogynist apparently. Quality
Freudian
of
slip.
life improvements that I couldn't fix. My favorite part of that game is your least favorite. I forgot how much I missed the micro, where that one infantry unit is shooting at the wrong guy. And like, I couldn't keep up, I couldn't play like I used to.
That sounds like Nate.
Yeah, but literally where it was like, all right, I'm gonna take these 10 infantrymen and I'm gonna throw them that way because that's where the base is. I don't know where it is, but they'll find it. So I gotta watch the map with one eye. Meanwhile, I've now got 700 resources. If I don't spend those now, I'm not getting interest on them. I have to start building units for if another enemy wave comes at me. What units do I build? I don't like this tank. All right, I'm just gonna build 7 infantry guys, and then, oh shit, I see some red on the mini-map. Throw the map over, grab them, band select, fire again. Oh, I'm gonna keep running with this one. You cut me off all you want. But that micro, man, it was like, I am a Florida man, and I think I'm destined to smoke meth because I loved how hard that was.
I just want to do a quick impression of what it must be like to be Nate. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit report. Unit lost.
Now, here's what I'm saying, is that the first few skirmishes I played during the CPU and the first few missions I played, a lot of that, because 33 reaction time is not 13 reaction time, man. It is way different. I could not keep up. But I remember...
Don't forget all the Wilhelm screams. Every
Oh.
infantry unit dies with a
With a
Wilhelm
Wilhelm
Oh
scream.
my, no.
Really?
Some of them, the GIs go like,
Oh yeah, no.
Some of
I
them
remember
go
being
loud. Some of them
disgusted at
definitely
that.
have to be-
Disgusting.
The fucking, who is it? One last piece. The different nations on the Soviet side. One of them was Iraq, and Iraq had the Chem Trooper, which was a guy that
Desolator.
had a desolator. He had a pipe, and he would take a knee and put the pipe on the ground, and everything around him would glow green, and all your guys would go.
It was basically
I'm
the
turning to
Tiberium from
It was,
regular
it
Command and
was,
Conquer.
but yeah. So Tiberium's not real.
What the fuck was the basis off of that?
It was supposed to be. It was around the
Saddam's
time
chemical
of,
weapons.
you know,
Saddam's chemical weapons.
the weapons of mass destruction that
Yeah.
Saddam had.
Saddam used
okay.
a shit ton
Remember
of chemical
those?
weapons
The
on
ones we
Iranians.
found?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There was.
Bashar al-Assad.
Well, I think
Iran.
That's
Iraq!
That's a great segue into our new political podcast on. Oh, we're out of time. Oh shit. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it was a really good one. Again, thanks to Nick for everything he does for the podcast. Thanks for being here. If you guys like Nick, let us know. If you hated him, let us know too, because we'll tell him to fuck off.
He basically put stuff on the list. This is the 4th member of the podcast. He's just not in front of the mic usually.
I'm
And
ugly.
Which is great though because he sounds better than all of us on the mic. So
Well,
throw that out
yeah,
there.
So
Oh, dude, I was actually gonna comment on that before. Damn, that's a professional working the mic right now.
Yeah, speaking of professional, you are not even
Just got up
sitting.
out of his chair to
You're
walk
talking
away,
away
turn around,
from the
grab
mic.
his chair.
We have 30 seconds left in this podcast.
He's got to go check the fridge that doesn't have beer in it for orange juice for his vodka. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Command Center. Daniel, take us out.
I will take us out. Make sure that you guys hit us on our. Oh my God, our next game.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
no
let you-
shit. That's why I got up because
You're
I
still not talking into your mic. Sit the fuck down.
That's why I got up because I was waiting for the next game.
Okay, well, why would you wait for the next game and then get up and go to the fridge?
If you guys can't
Because you're
tell, we
saying
took some
shit.
time to record this one. Nick's over. He hasn't been over in a minute. Nick, Daniel, and I used to live together. Jay would come over all the time. This is the crew, and so this recording's taken about 3 hours, and we've been drinking the whole time.
I've been quarantined.
Our next game, y'all. We are doing Grim Fandango,
Ow,
the
ow!
amazing point-and-click adventure from 1998. The good news is you can get it from 3 different places. Steam, Good Old Games, and Humble Bundle. It's $15 on all of them. And Good Old Games is having a sale where it's half off right now, but they don't tell you how long the sale is going to go for. So go there first. It's not on sale. It's only 15 bucks. We're doing that next. It's going to be amazing. It's a great game. I know I've played it. I think Nate maybe.
I've never
No,
played
Nate's
it.
never played
I'm
it.
excited about this one.
Okay.
I watched you play it when I was a kid. I remember
Oh,
the
shit.
CD-ROM case.
Yeah,
in
I
your-
still
yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
I had the remastered one on
Oh,
Steam.
oh!
That might-
If your PC supported a CD-ROM, you could play it.
well, you know, okay. But that's what we're playing. Remember, you can always hit us on our socials. Go to commandcenter.games. You can find our links to Twitter, our new YouTube, which Nate is running.
Yep.
We have Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Hit us at our Gmail account, Command Center Games. I'm sorry, wait, is it Command Center Games? Command Center Podcast.
Games.
Command Center Podcast at gmail.com.
Oh, the email.
And let us know what you think. If you like Nick, maybe we'll have him around some more.
Hit us up on Facebook, and Jason will answer you.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm actually more active on Facebook now. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm
If
keeping it
you-
up to date.
If you want to watch the video, the episode will release on the website, and I will update the website with the YouTube link once I've finished editing. Give me a couple days after the audio.
No, don't give him any
Don't
days.
feel
Don't
obligated.
Don't give me any
It's
days.
okay.
He
Find
sucks.
me and torture my testicles.
We're gonna end on that. We're gonna end on that. We are gonna.
Don't
Nick,
leave
Nick,
it.
do you have anything to close us out with better than that?
Plugs for anything that you're doing.
No, I just want to say that Nate does have amazing blood flow in his testicles.
Oh my God! You've now. I have to give that story out sometime now.
Bye.
That's like a third one.
What's our after credit?
That's an excellent ending. What's our after
I
credit?
know. I said it. And I was like, I hope his finger doesn't hit the space bar too soon.
Now it's locked in.
Now it's locked in.